strategic management part of human resources, as you go through, it really is a big deal. But to some extent, we have to make certain that we don't try to overinflate it. We're only about strategic management, because that simply isn't true. And that message has been out there. I'm part of a group on LinkedIn, and I hear all this criticism of HR this and HR that. Well, actually, if HR is functioning on all thrusters, it should be playing a strategic role in the HR as you go through. I think it is always a major blunder in an organization when a chief executive officer puts HR underneath the business office as you go through. That's a mistake. A couple of reasons why is number one, HR deals with the most volatile element of any organization, people. The CEO needs to sit down there and have their pulse as to what's going on with people, not to have it covered up by a business officer who's interested in money over people. By the way, that's their job as you go through. They would need to have that filter because people sit down there and drive the organization, and all your major problems come from people. It's interesting. I've been years as an executive in human resources, acting as a chief human resource officer for well over a decade and a half as you go through. That being said, I can have the business officer go through and spend $752,000, I kid you not, and everything else, and the board of trustees just sat down there and says, okay, sounds good, dink, rubber stamp. I come forward and I bring forward an employee who's working part-time, 19 and a half hours a week, and is related to the manager of the food service area. And the board has this dialogue. They want to know all about this because it's a relative. Okay, it's not the same department. It's part-time. There's no benefits involved. But yes, that is her niece. Yes, as a matter of fact, we spent more time on that than the almost $1 million expenditures you go through. People are more interesting than almost anything else. HR can be more volatile and make certain that the CEO needs to be aware of what's going on with people because people are more interesting than almost anything else as you go through. It's a big deal. So when it comes to HR, yes, people are critical. Don't overinflate the strategic part because there's really three components over here as you go through. The transactional activities. This is a huge part of every single day as you go through. The day-to-day transaction, benefits, record keeping, employee services as you go through. You want to make sure when you hire somebody, you put them at the right salary step and you make certain the paperwork's filed so they get paid on payday. Last thing you want is a brand new employee who changed states to come to work in your institution and the paperwork didn't get processed and you say, oh, you know what? We missed your pay date as you go through. You'll get your paycheck next month, twice the amount. No, they're going to starve to death in that time as you go through. Make certain the paperwork is done. Transactional activities is a major part of human resources, and you can't relegate that to some chat bot or some artificial intelligence device on the phone. It's got to be done. The details have to be done. They have to be done precisely with a smile as you go through. You also have this whole traditional activities, which is always a part of human resources, and it's not going to go away. Performance management, making certain supervisors go through and assess employees, train people, recruit, select, make certain compensation is done well, make certain conflict resolution through employee relations is done well. Chatbots can't do that. Those are all human activities that are done. And yes, a chatbot can assist in answering your phone. Yes, an AI can assist in going through some type of testing as you go through. You can actually screen applications to some extent as you go through. But the reality is humans need to be involved because, by the way, the name of the organization is called Human Resource Management. And that means the humans you're handling and the humans on the inside should be communicating to each other as you go through. Now, once you got these activities well done, now you do the transformational things. Now you can sit down and think, big picture, I'm the chief human resource officer, so I'm involved in knowledge management, management development. Let's change our culture to make it more accepting for everybody. Let's be more future-oriented than historical. Let's change our assessment from being the last year within the last 3 months, and where do you plan on going in the next 9 months as you go through? Let's be idealistic. Let's do big picture stuff, not just big picture for the next 12 months. Let's go out 3 years plus. Yes, you have to do that if you're really in tune with your organization and looking to the future. But Do not do this activity of a transformational activity and ignore the rest because you're above those things, because you're not. This is part of your job. This is part of your work. So if you're a chief human resource officer or aspire to be, and by the way, it's a great job. It is highly innovative. You got to juggle 17 balls at the same time, and you can't drop one as you go through. And you're dealing with people, the most variable thing you possibly have. You may have one person come in your office on Monday and they talk to you, and the same person comes in on Wednesday and they're a totally different person because they've transformed overnight. Because who knows what happened to them? It could be something they ate. It could be a matter of they had a fight before work. Who knows what it could be? But all of a sudden now you have a different personality as you go through. People are the most interesting component in society as a whole, which makes human resources maybe one of the most interesting jobs in our organization. When you start looking over here, here's a pyramid of different activities and amount of time that you spent on. This is a pretty good pyramid. It does describe a lot of the different transactional things and the traditional things that HR does. You have to get those things done because those things are foundational. You'll see on the chart how they're arranged at the bottom before you can start doing the big picture things on the very top. All three are critical. All three are clearly in the realm of human resources, and all three are vital as you go through. For us to function as a strategic business unit, you need to focus on your base, your customers' need as you go through, and the technologies to satisfy customers' needs as you go through. That means you have to be adaptable in human resources and change as it's needed as you go through and use technology, but don't let technology use you as you go through. Make certain you're on top of it, make certain it's doing what you expect it to do in the process as you go through. Above all things, know who your customers are. You have really two different major kinds of customers. You have your customers outside trying to get in, and you have your customers inside that are trying to just do their job on a daily basis. You must pay attention to both sets of customers as you go through. Every person that contacts human resources should leave with a positive experience or an expectation that things are happening as you're going through. The line managers, your planners, your employees, it's critical to them. Don't make the mistake of, gee, we'll get back to you next month with your paycheck. That is awful. By the way, I've seen it happen before as you go through, not in my organization, but someplace else. And it's not funny because if you're in that receiving end, you need to sit down there and jump in, feet first, help them survive as you go through, because they could be by themselves from across country and stranded without money, without funds, without knowing what the next day brings. That's wrong for an employer to expect that as you go through. And it's part of human resources management to take care of the humans as you go through. Look at the customer needs, make certain you have committed employees, and make certain they're competent as you go through. That's all part of that. And make certain technology is doing what it's supposed to do. Don't let the technology rule you. Don't let some chatbot sit down there and insult somebody else on the other end of the line, or somebody sitting there screaming at a chatbot as you go through because of the fact that the chatbot won't let them get through in the process. I don't know about you. I've had that experience. I've been doing the yelling at a chatbot before. And of course, a chatbot doesn't get sarcastic and talks back as you go through. So that being said, make certain that everything is happening the way it's supposed to happen. Don't trust technology, trust the humans to sit down there and make the technology do what it's supposed to do. There really is a basic process in HR strategy. You know, this is HR strategy, but big picture wise, it's business strategy as you go through. It just has an HR application. Scan the external environment, identify your issues as you go through, identify the people issues as you go through, develop a good strategy for HR, and then communicate that out as you go through. You got to make certain that you're involving a lot of line executives. Human resources is a staff function, not a line function. Line functions mean as you go through, people give direction to the employees within their department. HR works as an advisor to all the supervisors, helping them be successful in managing those employees as you go through. You want to have them assist them as they go through. And when you do something in HR, get their input because it has an impact on them. Don't mandate it down. Sit down there, let them talk what they need, and then develop what they need to make certain they're going through the process the way that it's supposed to be done as you go through. Now, that being said, a lot of times human resources is always accused of saying it's too slow to get people in. You know, we did that. We heard those kind of complaints before. And so we went through, we did some total quality management, TQM, as we went through, and we studied it. We went through, we gathered data in the process. And by the time we were all done, we found that we did have a slow process. It was too slow. We found that part of the process, on the average, with 9 different recruits, as we went through that we analyzed in detail, of the 9 different recruits, it was an average of 21 to 23 days of paperwork sitting on some supervisor's desk that didn't return to HR, and that slowed down the time as you go through. So we changed the process, and we held people accountable with reminders and saying, it's been this many days, and all of a sudden, once we started showing them the data as to how slow it was, all of a sudden the whole process went faster, and the employees got in seats much quicker as you went through. Make certain that the line executives have input, make certain that they have input to help you develop a winning strategy, and then communicate when somebody talks to you, respond back, and then make certain they're all involved in a strategy, because you don't want people sitting down there whispering about HR behind your back, or maybe telling you to your face is what it is. Make certain you have them on board the strategy. You know, here's a series of different approaches that you looked at in your textbook as you go through, whether it's business driven or business linked as you go through. Everything is involved, making certain at the end that a customer, the people receiving your service, the people purchasing your product, that at the end, those people are satisfied. In the meantime, you have to make certain that your other customers, the internal ones, are making certain that they're supported too by HR as well. Whichever pathway you follow, make certain that you follow it well and people are actually involved and being serviced by human resources as you go through. Transactional work has always been part of HR as a mainstay as you go through. Technology and changes have moved the focus into a more transformative process as you go through. And one thing not mentioned here, legality plays a larger role in today's HRM than ever before. Take care.